Hey, what's going on, everyone? Damon here, and let's talk about some changes happening in the real estate world. So today is July 30th. We have some major changes coming in the month of August that are going to be nationwide. They're going to affect you if you're a buyer. They're going to affect you if you're a seller. They're going to affect you if you're a realtor. So want to just go over, there's two main changes that are happening, and we're going to go over them right now. This is an ever-flowing, ever-evolving thing that's happening. This is National Association of Realtors in conjunction with the Department of Justice and a number of other entities that had to do with a class action settlement. So we have some major changes happening in the real estate world. So what are those changes going to be? Again, two major changes. The first one is when it comes to buyer agent compensation. So as of, again, today's the 30th of July, as of tomorrow, our local real estate board and our MLS is removing that compensation field. As of August 17th, that field will be gone everywhere throughout the country. You can no longer advertise any kind of buyer agent compensation in MLS. You can't mention bonus, you can't mention compensation, you can't put a percentage in, and you can't be cute with it either. You can't hide it in a photo somewhere or have some kind of code. You will be fined immediately. It's no longer allowed to be advertised in MLS. As a seller, you can still offer compensation. That is not changing at all. How you want to offer it, what you want to offer, we'll have that conversation when we sit down and discuss it. But you can offer it, but we cannot advertise it in MLS anymore. How that will impact things and affect things, we'll see. Right now the changes haven't taken effect yet. We need some data. We need to see a few months of how this goes. We need to put it into practice. Possibly procedures will change again, processes will change. But for right now, our compensation fields are going to be completely gone in MLS. And a buyer's agent can call me if I'm a listing agent. They can say, hey, 123 Main Street, are they offering, is the seller offering compensation? And I'll have that conversation with them and I'll tell them, yes, we are. Here's how much it is. So there'll be a lot more communication between agents when it comes to that, but you won't be able to find that in MLS, and so therefore anywhere that MLS pushes out to won't be there as well. So that's change number one. Change number two has to do with buyer agreements. So some of you that are in other states, your states may already mandate a buyer agent agreement form. Florida does not. And now throughout the country, anyone working with a realtor will have to have a buyer agreement in place. No different than if we were to list a property and you have to sign a listing agreement with your agent, you're now going to also be signing a buyer agent agreement. Now that agreement will have things like what the buyer's agent is expected to receive from a compensation standpoint. So as a buyer, there may be situations where you want to see a home and the seller is no longer offering compensation. You have to work out the details with your agent, whether or not you want to see that home, how much you're willing to pay versus how much you expect the seller to pay your agent. And you could work that into your offer as well. You can negotiate that as part of your offer. So in the past, we didn't really have to worry about that. We saw what that compensation was advertised in MLS, and everybody had that understanding. Now it's going to be much more integrated into the process, your offer process. I know for us, Coldwell Banker, our agreement, we're making changes every day to it as the situation's evolving, but we essentially will be able to sit down with our buyers and say, okay, here's how much we expect to be paid. And as a buyer, you can say, I only want to see homes that offer X amount of compensation, or show me everything. We'll negotiate. You have that capability to do so. So communication, really, really, really important now with your agent. I think the days of just, seeing a home that you love online and finding the first agent that's going to pick up the phone, that's over. You cannot do that anymore. You have to have a buyer agreement in place with your agent. So you want to make sure that the agent you're working with on the buy side understands what's happening, is a good communicator, has experience, will explain all these things to you. Little shameless self-promotion here. Our team has a buyer guide. Okay, so we put this together understanding that buyers are going to have questions about this process and what's taking place. These are all the services that we provide and how the closing looks from a timeline standpoint. This is important. All of our buyers get this, okay? just to kind of show you that when you work with a buyer's agent, you want to have the same kind of questions that sellers have for us when we're listing a property. How many homes have you sold? What's your marketing plan look like? How do you communicate with the other parties? You now, as a buyer, want to have that same conversation with your realtor because you're going to be signing an agreement with them. And you want to make sure that you're not just working with anybody. You want to work with somebody who's familiar with the area, familiar with the neighborhood, has the experience, and talks to you about what their strategy is, how we're going to help you find a home. So it's very important. So again, on the selling side now, we're no longer allowed to offer compensation in MLS. We can still offer that compensation, but how we distribute that is going to be different. So you want to have a realtor, you want to have your listing agent be the realtor that is going to have the most exposure out there to get that information, to communicate, make sure that they're available all the time to answer those questions from agents that come in. As a buyer, now the game has changed for you maybe in a big way. Maybe not, we'll see what happens, but it's really important that you are able to sit down with a realtor that is going to work with you, that is going to be able to explain this process to you. It's very important now. Before you could kind of, bounce around and maybe you go to an open house and you work with one agent here, you work with one agent there. You have to sign an agreement. Now, this is a directive from the National Association of Realtors and the Department of Justice. This is not something that is just a suggestion. This is real deal stuff that's changing. So again, we'll see how this all goes. I am always available to answer questions for you. There's going to be a lot of headlines and things. We saw it once when the settlement happened. We're going to see it again as these changes take place. There's a lot of hype out there and a lot of, quite frankly, people that are talking that don't really understand what's going to happen because we don't have any data yet. There's no way for us to know. The two things that are the most important things that have always been the most important things will not change, whether you're working with an agent on the buy side or the sell side. Communication and strategy. Okay, those things will always trump all other things. Okay, so you want to make sure you ask the right questions. You want to have those conversations with the person you're working with to make sure that they are on board with these changes. They understand how they're going to impact you, and that you're working with somebody who can help you navigate those changes. So just wanted to put that out there. We are right on the brink of these changes happening. Again, our MLS tomorrow, the compensation is being removed. And by the 17th of August, this is going to be a nationwide thing, and you're going to have to be signing these buyer agreements. If you're a buyer, you're not going to be able to advertise that compensation if you're a seller. So just things to be aware of. So please call me if you have any questions, if you want any kind of explanation as to how we got to this point, how that's going to impact you moving forward. We will take care of you. Don't worry about that. 239-851-5600 or damon.viteri@floridamoves.com. Hope you have a great day. We will figure these changes out together. Don't you worry. And I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.